I'm sorry?
I let him listen first before I asked anything.
Okay, and what did you ask him?
I believe my words were, is that your son's voice in the background? Or I think I said a little differently than that, but I inquired as if that was, in fact, his son yelling for help.
And what was his response?
It was more of a verbal and nonverbal. He looked away and under his breath, as I interpreted, said no.
Okay. And I think you asked him something to the effect, do you recognize the voice? Or do I have it right, or am I misstating what you said?
It was either, do you recognize the voice, or is that your son's voice in the background?
Okay. And as this was going on, when you specifically asked him that, I think you described Mr. Martin and his head was down, correct?
It was more like looking away from me and the computer.
Like he didn't even want to deal with it. Is that how you interpreted it?
Yes, sir.
And then you stated that it was under his breath, I gather, right? Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
And you interpreted it as he said no, correct?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you didn't flat out hear the word no unequivocally, or did you hear it like something under his breath and he was distraught?
I heard it and saw the movement of his mouth.
Okay, so you believe, your opinion is that he said no?
Yes, sir, it is.
And do you recall what it was that you heard Officer Serino ask Mr. Martin after playing the loud 911 call?
If you recognize the voice.
Okay. Again, do you have the exact words, or you remember?
I don't know if those were exact words, but that was the question, if you had recognized the voice.
Okay, and Mr. Martin's response?
That it was not his son.
I think earlier you said that he actually put his head down or something.
Yes, and he was crying, and he was sad. He had his head down, and he was wiping his face with tissues. His girlfriend was behind him, trying to comfort him. She was kind of rubbing his shoulder some.
You recall actually Tracy Martin saying that was not his voice, that it's not his son's voice?
Yes.
Okay. And you clearly heard him say those words?
I don't know his exact words, but he was telling us that it was not his, or he was telling Chris that it was not his son's voice that was screaming for help.
I mean, he said words, in other words, like you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And you clearly heard him say those words?
I don't know his exact words, but he was telling us that it was not his, or he was telling Chris that it was not his son's voice that was screaming for help.
I mean, he said words, in other words, like you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, he put his head down, is what you're saying?
I think it was even while listening to it
Okay.
that he was already crying, because you could hear the gunshot.
And so, obviously, you were sensitive of that, too, the fact that they were playing this recording to the father of the person that's being shot on the tape, correct?
Yes, I was choked up myself. I had to stand back, and I felt, I could feel how he must feel, because I have children. And I was choked up by it, and I felt horrible for him.
And you could see that and sense that in Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Okay.